Welcome to Arkansas. And to start, did you see the mall walker as we went in? Take a good long hard look at them. Not too hard. But I say that because that's the only person you're going to see in this building. This is the Mellor Park Mall in El Dorado. And if my brief conversation with a TJ Maxx clerk is anything to go by, this mall was DOA, allegedly. Two things. First, would you believe me if I said that there is no information available on this mall? And I did do some digging. So while newspapers gives us the mall's beginning, I was unsuccessful on the middle and the end. Also, I will acknowledge that this town, El Dorado, might actually be pronounced El Dorado. So if I pronounce it El Dorado, you're just going to have to deal with it because it sounds more natural for me. Mellor Park Mall was announced as far back as 1971, when it was under construction by Harold Yelverton, who was the brain behind this mall, and it was said that he worked for years to get the project going. Unfortunately, Yelverton passed away in May 1972, halting the project. A firm headed by Doyle Rogers would take over the project, however, and would continue construction with the mall, and said that there would be no delay in construction at this time. At that time, Woolco, Kroger, Super X Drugs, Zales, Belk Jones, The Exchange Bank, Wholesale Wigs, Pizza Inn, and El Dorado House, and Cliff's Men's Shop were all signed on for the project, and it was speculated that Mellor Park Mall was the first mall-type development in southern Arkansas. As far as I can tell, it's the only enclosed mall in the southern half. It's unknown when exactly the mall opened, but given the dates and listings of other stores, like Bell's and the El Dorado House, I can narrow the range down to late 1973. The mall did open to fanfare and was a welcome sight in its early days in El Dorado. Arcola Materials also expressed their role in the mall's construction for supplying building blocks. You might laugh at this, but this worked for keeping an in-state feel for the mall, as the company was all over Arkansas at the time, and they are still around today in the Fort Smith area. Unfortunately, this is where things get very, very muddy, and I am stuck on speculation. It's unknown when the more major tenants came out of the pictures and which anchors changed and what they were changed into. Hell, I don't even know when Stage came into the picture and when Bell's departed. And I also don't know when JCPenney came into the picture. A single paper in 1995 does make mention of JCPenney at the Mellor Park Mall, but the paper was talking about drastic shifts in shopper behavior as they began chasing after more deals, suggesting that the mall was already facing problems by then. It also didn't help that southern Arkansas is one of the poorer areas of the nation and is largely forgotten by, well, everyone. Except for me. I'll at least acknowledge it. JCPenney and Stage would both depart the mall in 2020, both undergoing bankruptcy at the time. JCPenney would survive thanks to a buyer, but Stage would go under entirely. And when I finally arrived in 2022, I was absolutely shocked to find nothing open at all in the mall. Any store that had exterior access would completely shut off their mall access. And the only thing open in the mall itself is the management office. And I remember seeing one other person in there who appeared to be bored out of their mind. And according to a staff member I asked in TJ Maxx, this mall never did that well in its time. This is one of those dead malls that remains shrouded in mystery, and I invite the locals to share their testimonies about this place. Now, to reiterate my point about Southern Arkansas, let's take a look at Area Vibes and see what they have to say. Area Vibes gives El Dorado a livability score of 60, which isn't good. Now, it isn't terrible compared to the US average, and is on par with the state average. I've seen places go down to the 40s, which is awful. Now, to break that down, amenities and cost of living both get an A, but a pattern I see repeating itself a lot is crime, employment, housing, and schools getting Fs. User ratings balance out to a C grade. Now let's take a closer look at crime. I am surprised to see the total crime stats rating this place as 103% above the national average, with violent crime being 327% higher than the national average. Seriously, look at the numbers for yourself. Good God, what is happening in El Dorado? Even property crime isn't great, as it's 59% above the national average. Employment doesn't paint a very good picture either. I won't go into detail on household income or income per capita, but overall unemployment is 37% above the national average. Man, what is happening in El Dorado? I'd rather not go any further with El Dorado itself. This place needs some help. Now, regarding the mall itself, just look at this place. Time might as well be standing still here. It's almost like an architectural time capsule from the 70s. And because there are no people or stores in here, it feels like some kind of twist on the back rooms. I mean, sure, you have stores at either end of the mall that are clearly marked, but they don't have any mall access, so I don't really count them. And yes, you have the management office, but I wasn't willing to go in there. I doubt the woman at the desk would be accepting of anything I do here. 'Cause while I'm not trying to overtly be negative with the property, I am not very good at shilling, and I just tend to tell things as they are. And that offends a lot more people than you realize. And despite some of the issues that might be in your face about this mall, one thing that jumped out at me as I was doing a once around outside is that there is no curb appeal whatsoever to this mall. Hell, upon first glance, it looks like a double-sided strip mall, and there's only one entrance on the back that looks like a mall entrance, and that's on the back. I think that's the wrong side. I will say though, when you're isolated in a mall, all by yourself with no one around, your mind will start to wander. I get a very surreal vibe from places like these. In fact, if the radio stations weren't being broadcast on the mall speakers, it would be even more surreal, with just the building itself making noises. And believe me, large buildings like these make noise. It's like a living, breathing entity. You'll hear crackles throughout the ceiling and pops in the walls here and there. The building is shifting and settling in the wind and the elements. and it will get your imagination going. We're getting ready to wind down here in a moment. As much as I'd like to stay and dream up scenarios, we do have to get moving. And I do want to thank you for joining me in a walk around the Mellor Park Mall. What did you think about this place? It sure is something, isn't it? Do share your thoughts down in the comments below. And if you're local to the area, please, tell me the secrets of your people. I'm going to keep the surreal vibe going with a place in Texas next week, and for such a big state, we'll be starting small there, but I promise you it's worth it, so do subscribe for that if you haven't already. Thanks for having me, El Dorado, Arkansas. And until next time, this is Doomie Grunt wishing you and the Mellor Park Mall farewell and good luck whatever you do next. You're gonna need it. Also, if I sound angry at any point in this video, there's a good chance that I was, because apparently I'm worse at talking than Joe Biden, and technology that worked for years decided to quit working one day.